The deep hum of the Horizon's engines filled the bridge as Captain James stared at the flashing red light on his control panel. The distress signal had been pulsing for the last hour, its weak beacon barely reaching their sensors. "What do you make of it, Steve?" James asked his communications officer, who had been trying to decode the signal's pattern. "It's unlike anything in our database, Captain. The frequency suggests it's not from any known species we've encountered." Steve's fingers moved quickly across his screen, attempting to clean up the signal. James stood up from his command chair, his tall frame casting a shadow across the holographic star map. The signal originated from a small asteroid field just ahead of their planned route. As an exploration vessel, the Horizon was duty-bound to investigate all distress calls, but something about this one felt different. "Take us in closer, but keep the shields up," James ordered. "Let's see who needs our help." As they approached the source of the signal, the crew spotted a small ship drifting between the asteroids. Its design was strange. Delicate crystalline structures stretched out from a central core that glowed with a soft blue light. The vessel was badly damaged, with several sections showing signs of weapons fire. "Life signs?" James asked the medical officer. "Yes, but they're unusual. I'm detecting multiple small signatures, each about the size of a house cat." The crew used their tractor beam to carefully bring the damaged ship into their main hangar. Security teams stood ready, though their sensors indicated no weapons or hostile technology aboard the vessel. When the airlock finally opened, the human crew found themselves staring in amazement. The aliens were tiny, barely reaching knee height on an average human. Their bodies were semi-transparent, with delicate limbs that seemed to shimmer in the hangar's lights. Internal organs were visible through their clear skin, pulsing with a gentle bioluminescence. The ship's medical officer stepped forward slowly, scanning the aliens with his handheld device. "They're not injured, but they seem exhausted. Their biology is fascinating. Highly evolved nervous systems, but minimal muscular development." One of the small beings stepped forward, using what looked like a primitive translation device. Its voice came through as soft and melodic. "We are the Drift," it said, the translation slightly choppy but understandable. "We thank you for answering our call. Our ship was attacked by raiders seeking easy prey. They see us as weak, as all do." James knelt down to be closer to eye level with the speaker. "I'm Captain James of the human exploration vessel Horizon. You're safe now. Can you tell us more about what happened?" The Drift speaker's internal lights pulsed slightly faster. What the crew would later learn was a sign of emotional distress. "We are scientists, explorers like you. But in this galaxy, the Drift are known as the weakest species. Our bodies never evolved for strength. We focused on mental development. Most species see us as targets, resources to be taken." The captain noticed something interesting as the Drift spoke. Despite their fragile appearance, their movements were precise and calculated. Their large eyes showed clear intelligence, and their ship, though damaged, displayed remarkable technological advancement. "How many of your people are aboard?" James asked. "We are 12, the Drift responded. "A standard research team. Our home system is 3 sectors away, but we cannot return. The raiders watch the travel routes." James stood up, making a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "You'll stay with us for now. We'll ensure your safety and help you repair your ship." The Drift's translator crackled as it processed their response. "Your kindness is unexpected. Most species either ignore our calls or exploit our weakness. Humans are different," James said, a small smile forming on his face. "We judge others by their character, not their size or strength. And from what I can see, your people have plenty of character." As the medical team helped the Drift settle into specially prepared quarters, James contacted Earth Command to report their first contact. He didn't know it then, but this encounter would spark one of the most remarkable partnerships in galactic history, one that would transform both the Drift and the balance of power in the known universe. 3 days after rescuing the Drift, The Horizon arrived at Earth's main space station. News of the first contact had spread quickly, and Ambassador Mary waited in the station's diplomatic chamber, watching as the tiny beings floated through the door. Their movements were graceful despite their fragile appearance. The drift leader, who had chosen the name Tom to help humans address him more easily, moved to the front of his group. His translucent skin rippled with patterns of blue light, a sign of excitement. The humans had learned. "Welcome to Earth Space Station 1, Mary said, kneeling down to greet them properly. "I hope your journey was comfortable." "Most comfortable," Tom replied through his improved translator. "Captain James and his crew treated us with great respect. This is unusual for us." The diplomatic chamber's walls displayed images of Earth's history, showing humanity's progress from primitive tools to space travel. Tom and the other drift studied these images with obvious interest, their large eyes reflecting the changing pictures. "Tell me more about your people's situation," Mary said, taking a seat at the specially modified conference table. The drift representatives sat on raised platforms that brought them to eye level with the humans. Tom's internal lights dimmed slightly. "We were once many billions, spread across 3 star systems, but over the last century, stronger species have pushed us back. They take our resources, destroy our ships, and force us to hide in the shadows of space." His voice carried a weight of sadness that needed no translation. "How many of your people remain?" Mary asked gently. "Less than 1 billion now. We survive by staying hidden, using our technology to avoid detection. But each year, we lose more." Captain James, who had joined the meeting, stepped forward. "Ambassador, the drift's scientific knowledge is remarkable. Their ship's design, though damaged, shows engineering skills far beyond many species we've encountered." Mary nodded thoughtfully. "What if we offered you more than just temporary safety?" she asked the drift delegation. "What if humanity proposed a full alliance?" The drift's lights pulsed rapidly in surprise. "An alliance?" Tom asked. "Most species see no value in allying with the weak." "We see strength in many forms," Mary replied. "Your intelligence, your technological achievements, your survival despite overwhelming odds. These show tremendous strength. But," she paused, choosing her words carefully, "what if we could help you develop physical strength to match your mental capabilities?" The chamber grew quiet. Even the human guards at the door turned to listen. "How?" Tom asked, his translator barely managing to convey his mix of hope and disbelief. Mary touched a control panel, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed human medical achievements, genetic modifications, biological enhancements, and evolutionary acceleration techniques. "Earth scientists believe your species' unique biology might be compatible with our enhancement technologies. With your permission, we could help you evolve, not just to survive, but to thrive." The drift representatives huddled together, their bodies glowing with rapid patterns of light as they communicated in their native way. After several minutes, Tom turned back to Mary. "Why would humans help us this way?" he asked. "What do you gain?" James answered before Mary could speak. "Allies, friends, a chance to right the wrongs being done to your people. Sometimes that's enough." "There would be conditions," Mary added. "Any enhancements would be voluntary. We would start small, testing and ensuring safety. And most importantly, we would need your promise that these abilities would never be used for conquest, only for defense and protection." Tom's body glowed brighter than they had ever seen. "In our entire history, no species has offered us hope like this. We accept your conditions. We accept your alliance." As the human and drift representatives began discussing details, none of them fully realized they were starting a process that would reshape galactic power forever. In that diplomatic chamber, the seeds were planted for what would become the most remarkable transformation in known space. The weak were about to become strong, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Mars research facility gleamed under the red planet's sun. Inside the main laboratory, Dr. Allen watched through reinforced glass as the first group of drift volunteers floated in special enhancement tanks. The liquid inside glowed with a soft green light, filled with billions of specialized nanobots and genetic modification compounds. "Heart rate stable," reported his assistant. "Cellular absorption rate at optimal levels." Dr. Allen nodded, his eyes fixed on the volunteer they had named Ray. Among all 20 volunteers, Ray showed the most promising signs. His transparent body had already begun to change, growing larger and more defined. "How are you feeling, Ray?" Dr. Allen spoke into the communication system. Ray's voice came through clearly, though with effort. "Strange, but not painful. I can feel changes." The enhancement process had taken 6 months of careful planning. The human scientists had discovered that the drift's transparent bodies were surprisingly perfect for genetic modification. Their cells could adapt and change far more easily than any other known species. In the observation room above, military observers and other scientists watched with growing excitement. This was the first full-scale test of the enhancement program. If it worked, it would change everything. "Starting final phase," Dr. Allen announced. The green liquid in the tanks began to pulse with energy. The drift volunteers' bodies glowed brighter in response, their natural bioluminescence reacting to the treatment. Ray's tank showed the most dramatic changes. His small, delicate form began to grow rapidly. Bones thickened, muscles formed, and his transparent skin developed a stronger, more resilient structure while maintaining its unique translucent quality. "Extraordinary," whispered one of the observing scientists. "Their bodies aren't just accepting the changes, they're improving upon them." After 3 hours, the process reached its completion. The tanks slowly drained, and medical teams rushed in with scanning equipment. Ray stood up on his own, now nearly 6 feet tall, his transformed body glowing with power. "How do you feel?" Dr. Allen asked, approaching carefully. Ray looked at his new hands, flexing fingers that were now strong enough to bend metal. His voice, deeper but still musical, carried a tone of wonder. "I feel complete. Like this was always possible, but we never knew how." The other volunteers showed similar successful changes, though none quite as dramatic as Ray's. Where once stood fragile beings barely a foot tall, now stood warriors nearly human-sized, their bodies a perfect blend of strength and their species' natural grace. Dr. Allen ran a scanner over Ray's body. "Muscle density is 5 times greater than human standard. Bone structure shows remarkable durability, yet you've maintained your species' neural efficiency and natural agility." Ray moved across the room in a blur of motion, faster than human eyes could track. "Our minds always knew what to do," he said. "Now our bodies can follow." The human military observers looked at each other with growing excitement. One of them, Commander Sam, stepped forward. "Are you ready to begin combat training?" Ray turned to face him, his enhanced body glowing with patterns of blue and gold, the drift's expression of determination. "We are ready, but we will need teachers. The best combat instructors Earth has to offer are already on their way," Commander Sam replied. "We'll help you master your new capabilities." Dr. Allen watched as the other enhanced drift gathered around Ray, their bodies glowing with similar patterns of determination. In just one day, they had transformed from the galaxy's most vulnerable species into something entirely new. "Remember," Dr. Allen said to them all, "this is just the beginning. As more of your people volunteer, as we refine the process, you'll grow even stronger." Ray nodded, his enhanced form casting a long shadow across the laboratory floor. "We will never forget this gift," he said. "Humans didn't just make us stronger, you gave us hope." As the enhanced drift left for their new training facilities, Dr. Allen couldn't help but smile. The galaxy's bullies were about to learn a very important lesson. Never underestimate the power of cooperation between species. The age of the weak and helpless drift was over. The era of the Warbeasts was about to begin. The training grounds of Earth's Special Forces base echoed with sounds of combat. Commander Sam watched from an observation platform as Ray moved through the obstacle course. The enhanced Drift Warrior's movements were unlike anything he'd ever seen. Time, Commander Sam asked. 17 seconds, his assistant replied. He just broke another record. Below them, Ray's transformed body glowed with exercise, his nearly 7-foot frame moving with impossible speed through barriers designed to challenge the best human soldiers. What would have taken an elite human trooper 3 minutes, Ray had completed in seconds. "Stop showing off, Ray," Commander Sam called through the speaker, but he was smiling. After 3 months of training, the enhanced drift had surpassed all expectations. Ray joined them on the platform, his translucent skin showing the enhanced muscles and reinforced bones beneath. "Not showing off," he said, his voice carrying that musical quality all drift maintained even after enhancement. "Just testing limits." In the larger training area beyond, 30 more enhanced drift warriors practiced combat moves. Their fighting style had evolved into something unique, a blend of human martial arts and the drift's natural abilities. They could turn their bodies nearly invisible, move faster than human eyes could track, and strike with devastating force. "The new armor is ready," Commander Sam said, pointing to a nearby rack. "Try it on." Ray approached the sleek, black combat suit. Unlike traditional armor, this was designed specifically for the drift's unique biology. It was lightweight, allowing their natural bioluminescence to shine through while providing protection. "Beautiful," Ray said, putting it on. The armor seemed to merge with his translucent skin, creating an effect like starlight through dark water. Commander Sam activated the training room's main holographic system. "Let's test it." Full combat simulation. The room transformed into a battlefield. Holographic enemies, modeled after known hostile species, appeared from all directions. Ray moved like liquid lightning. His enhanced strength and speed combined with the drift's natural grace creating a deadly dance. "Watch this," Ray said. His body shifted, becoming nearly invisible except for faint patterns of light. The holographic enemies lost track of him completely. Seconds later, they were all down. "Impressive," Commander Sam noted. "But remember, some species have heat vision or other tracking methods." "That's why we work in teams," Ray replied. On his signal, 5 more enhanced drift warriors entered the simulation. They moved in perfect coordination, their armor giving them the appearance of deadly shadows. Each warrior covered the other's positions, using their species' natural ability to communicate through light patterns. Commander Sam checked his tablet. 200 enhanced drift warriors were now ready for combat. Another 300 were in the final stages of training. The transformation program was working better than anyone had hoped. "Time for the final test," he announced. "Live fire exercise." The training room shifted again, now replicating the interior of a space station. Real weapons, loaded with practice rounds, were transported in. Human Special Forces troops entered, armed and ready. 50 of Earth's best troops against 6 of you, Commander Sam explained. "Show me what you've learned." What followed was one of the most remarkable displays of combat efficiency ever recorded. The enhanced drift moved like ghosts through the battlefield, their natural intelligence combined with their new physical capabilities, making them nearly unstoppable. They didn't just fight, they controlled the entire flow of battle. In less than 5 minutes, all 50 human troops were tagged out. "That's why we volunteered first," Ray said afterward, his armor shimmering as he powered down from combat mode. "We were scientists before. We understand strategy, physics, angles of attack. Now we have the bodies to match our minds." Commander Sam nodded, pride evident in his expression. "You're ready. The 1st Battalion of Drift Warriors is combat certified." Ray's body pulsed with patterns of blue and gold, victory colors. "We're ready to protect our people, to show the galaxy that the age of hunting the drift is over." As the enhanced warriors celebrated their certification, Commander Sam sent his final report to Earth Command. In it, he wrote only one line. The galaxy isn't ready for what's coming. The Hunter's battle fleet dropped out of hyperspace above the small drift mining colony. 6 massive warships, their hulls scarred from countless raids, moved into attack formation. They had attacked this colony 3 times before. It was always easy prey. Same routine, the Hunter commander growled to his crew. Disable their defenses, take their resources, leave nothing behind. On their primary screen, the colony looked unchanged. The same fragile structures floating in space, the same weak energy readings. The Hunters had no way of knowing they were being watched. Inside the colony's hidden command center, Ray stood with his team of enhanced drift warriors. Their new armor gleamed in the low light, their bodies pulsing with battle-ready patterns. "Report," Ray said into his communicator. "Hunter fleet matches previous attack patterns," the colony's sensor operator replied. "They think we're defenseless." Ray smiled, an expression he had learned from humans. "Let them get closer. Wait for my signal." The Hunter ships moved forward confidently, their weapons charging. They never noticed the small shadows detaching from the colony's surface, never saw the enhanced drift warriors moving through space with impossible speed. "Now," Ray commanded. 20 enhanced drift warriors activated their thrusters. Their armor, designed to work with their natural abilities, made them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. They reached the first Hunter ship in seconds. Inside the enemy vessel, alarms began blaring. "Hull breach in sections 3, 7, and 12. A Hunter officer shouted. But there's nothing on our sensors." The enhanced drift moved through the ship like ghosts. Their strength, now greater than any Hunter, let them tear through internal doors like paper. Their speed made them impossible to target. Their natural ability to communicate through light patterns meant perfect coordination. Ray led the assault on the command ship. He phased his body to near invisibility, a natural drift ability now enhanced by their transformation, and entered through a maintenance hatch. 2 Hunter guards never saw what hit them. "This is impossible," the Hunter commander snarled as his bridge crew fell to invisible attackers. "The drift are weak. They're prey." Ray materialized in front of him, his 7-foot frame towering over the Hunter leader. "We were prey," he said, his voice carrying the musical tone of his species. "Now we are hunters." Across the fleet, the scene repeated. Enhanced drift warriors, using their combination of natural abilities and new strength, systematically disabled each ship. They didn't kill. They had promised humanity to be better than their oppressors, but they left no doubt about their power. In less than 20 minutes, the entire Hunter fleet was under drift control. Ray activated the Hunter ship's communication system, broadcasting on all frequencies used by predator species. His voice carried across space, a message to all who had ever threatened his people. "Let this be known," he announced, his body glowing with victory patterns. "The drift are no longer prey. We have evolved. We have grown strong. Any who threaten our people will face the consequences." To emphasize his point, his warriors positioned the captured Hunter ships in a display formation. On all nearby worlds, species who had once preyed on the drift watched in disbelief as their most feared raiders were paraded like trophies. In the colony below, the unenhanced drift emerged from their shelters, their bodies glowing with patterns of joy and triumph. Children looked up at their enhanced protectors with patterns of awe and hope. From the observation deck of a nearby human ship, Captain James watched with pride. "Beautiful work," he transmitted to Ray. "How does it feel?" Ray looked at his enhanced form, at his warriors celebrating their victory, at his people finally standing tall and unafraid. "It feels right," he replied. "But this was just the beginning. The galaxy needs to learn a new truth. The time of hunting the drift is over. The era of the drift protecting the hunted has begun." The news spread across space at light speed. The galaxy's weakest species had become its newest power. And they had done it not through conquest or cruelty, but through alliance and evolution. The balance of power had shifted forever. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Assembly buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 30 major species had gathered for an emergency meeting. The huge circular room, usually a place of calm debate, crackled with tension. On the main display, footage from the Hunter fleet's defeat played on repeat. Enhanced drift warriors moved like living shadows, their transformed bodies demonstrating power that seemed impossible for their once fragile species. "This is unnatural," shouted the representative of the rock people, his stone-like face cracking with anger. "The humans have created monsters." Ray stood calmly at the center of the chamber, his enhanced form glowing with steady, confident patterns. Next to him, Ambassador Mary watched the proceedings with diplomatic patience. "We created nothing," Mary responded. "We helped the Drift unlock their potential. There's a difference." The Trade Federation speaker, a tall insectoid being, stepped forward. "The Drift were known. Predictable. This change threatens all established power structures." Ray's voice carried across the chamber, its musical quality somehow making his words more powerful. "Power structures built on preying on the weak deserve to be threatened." He gestured, and a dozen enhanced drift warriors materialized around the chamber's edges. They had been there all along, invisible to even the Assembly's best security systems. The representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "We did not come to threaten," Ray continued. "We came to announce a new reality. The Drift are now strong enough to protect themselves, and others who need protection." On the chamber's screens, new footage began playing. Enhanced drift warriors defending a small colony of peaceful artists from raiders. Drift ships escorting merchant vessels safely through dangerous sectors. Former victims of oppression finding safety under drift protection. "Impossible," muttered the rock people's representative. "They were nothing. Less than nothing." Ambassador Mary stepped forward. "That was your mistake. You saw their physical form and assumed weakness. Humanity saw their potential and offered friendship. Which approach worked better?" The Trade Federation's speaker raised all four hands in protest. "The humans have given them too much power. They must be controlled." Ray's body pulsed with patterns that made several representatives flinch back. "We control ourselves. The humans didn't give us power. They helped us find it. And we choose to use it to protect, not dominate." He turned slowly, making eye contact with each representative. "The Drift remember who preyed on us, who ignored our calls for help, who treated us as resources to be exploited. We remember, but we choose to be better than our oppressors." A small, previously silent representative from a minor trading species spoke up. Will you protect others like us? The ones the powerful ignore?" "Yes," Ray said simply. "That is our new purpose." The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations. Some species rushed to propose alliances with the Drift-Human Partnership. Others demanded sanctions, restrictions, controls. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Mary raised her hand for quiet. "The choice is yours. Accept the new reality and work with us to create a more just galaxy, or cling to old prejudices and watch your influence fade." Ray's warriors moved to his side, their enhanced forms a powerful reminder of how much had changed. "Humanity showed us a better way," he said. "Now we offer the same choice to you. Join us in protecting the weak, or stay out of our way." As the representatives argued among themselves, Ray turned to Mary. "They're afraid," he said quietly. "Fear can lead to wisdom," she replied. "Sometimes people need to be shocked out of old ways of thinking." The assembly continued late into the night, but one thing was clear: the galaxy would never be the same. The species everyone had dismissed as weak had become something new, something powerful. And they had done it not through conquest or cruelty, but through friendship and the determination to protect others from experiencing what they had endured. The age of simply accepting the strong preying on the weak was over. A new power had risen, one dedicated not to conquest, but to justice. 5 years had passed since the first drift enhancement. The observation deck of Earth's primary space station offered a perfect view of the changes those years had brought. Captain James stood at the window, watching ships move through space below. Drift vessels, their crystalline designs now enhanced with powerful new technology, flew alongside human ships. Their joint patrol fleets had become a common sight across the galaxy. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Ray's voice came from behind him. The enhanced Drift Warrior, now supreme commander of their combined defense forces, moved to stand beside his old friend. "Hard to believe it all started with a distress signal," James replied, smiling at the memory. The door opened, and Dr. Allen entered with Ambassador Mary. They had gathered here to celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the Human Drift Alliance. All around them, the station buzzed with activity as delegates from dozens of species arrived for the celebration. "Latest reports are in," Mary said, holding up a datapad. "Piracy down 80% in known space. Attacks on peaceful species reduced by 90%. The Drift Protection Fleet has transformed galactic security." Ray's body glowed with proud patterns. "We've enhanced over 10,000 of our people now. All volunteers, all committed to protecting others." Through the window, they watched as a massive ship emerged from hyperspace. It carried the original Hunter commander who had attacked the Drift colony 5 years ago. But now he came as a diplomatic representative, his species having learned the hard way that the era of preying on the weak was over. "How many species have signed the protection treaty?" James asked. 53, Mary replied, "including 15 former aggressor species." Turns out watching the Drift transform from prey to protectors made quite an impression. Dr. Allen checked his own readings, and the enhancement process has stabilized perfectly. "No rejections, no complications. Your species' adaptability is remarkable." Ray. A group of unenhanced Drift floated past the window in their environmental suits, their small forms a reminder of how far they'd come. They were heading to the enhancement facility, more volunteers ready to join the protection fleet. "We're building something new," Ray said, his voice carrying that musical tone that all Drift maintained even after enhancement. "Not an empire, not a dominion, but a community, where the strong protect the weak until they can protect themselves." Through another window, they could see Earth in the distance, beautiful and blue. Next to it, a massive space station was under construction, the new headquarters of the Galactic Protection Force, jointly operated by humans and Drift. "Remember what you told me that first day?" James asked Ray. "About how most species see no value in the weak." Ray's body pulsed with amused patterns. "And you proved us wrong. Humans saw value not in what we were, but in what we could become." A flash of light announced another ship's arrival. This one carried children from various species, the first class of the new Galactic Peace Academy, where humans and Drift would teach the next generation about protection, not predation. "We've changed the rules of the galaxy," Mary said proudly. "Showed everyone that true strength comes from helping others rise." Ray turned to his human friends, his enhanced form glowing with patterns of deep gratitude. "Humans didn't just save us. You taught us how to save others. That's a debt we can never repay." "No debt," James replied firmly. "Just friendship and a shared vision of a better galaxy." Outside, more ships arrived for the celebration. Species that once would have never shared space now gathered in peace. The Drift Protection Fleet stood guard, their enhanced forms a reminder that the weak had become strong, and the strong had become protectors. As fireworks began to light up space around the station, Ray spoke one last time. "From the galaxy's weakest species to its guardians, and we're just getting started." The humans nodded in agreement. Together, they had proven that the greatest power comes not from domination, but from helping others rise. The galaxy's weakest species had become its greatest hope for peace. And that was just the beginning of their story.